And welcome to In Touch with Partners for Quality. I'm your host, Shelley Duffy. I just love sharing good news, and I have an absolutely wonderful story to share with you tonight. In previous episodes, we've talked about Citizen Care, a member of the Partners for Quality family of nonprofit organizations. Well, primarily serving Western Allegheny County, Citizens Care provides residential and community-based supports and services to persons with intellectual and developmental challenges. On today's program, we're focusing on how Citizen Care community living services provide the support needed for people to live more independent lives. And I'm joined right now by Mike Sturgis, a community living director at Citizen Care, and Jerry, a person supported by Citizen Care. So welcome to the program today. We're so glad to have both of you. Now, Jerry, I want to get to your story because you have some amazing things to talk about, and we're going to do that very quickly. But first, I would like to talk to you, Mike. You have been doing this for, I believe, 20 years now?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the journey and the path and how you got there and what it is you do.
Sure. So first off, thanks for having us come out and
Yes.
talking to us. I've had opportunities to talk about other passions in my life, but I've really never had the opportunity to talk about my career in a forum like this. So thank you so much. I'll be celebrating 20 years at Citizen Care in the community living residential part of the company in July of 2022. I've actually been working in the field for 26 years. 26 years ago, I started providing care to a gentleman, a younger man, who had physical limitations. And when I was in college and grad school, I worked as a nursing assistant. I finished my degree in long-term care administration. And when I first started at Citizen Care as a program manager, you probably remember that.
Yes, I do.
I wasn't quite sure that this job wasn't aligned with what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into working at nursing homes and help deinstitutionalize, help with the culture change in nursing homes. After a few months and a couple years, I definitely knew that I was in the right place, and I felt myself aligning more and more with the mission of Citizen Care with every day. Before long, I was working a lot of front-time work, picking up shifts, working directly with people. And I really also really started to enjoy helping people get out into the community to volunteer. That was probably one of the things that really, really got me excited, getting people to do cleanups in the community, helping with Allegheny Cleanways doing cleanups, helping with the food bank doing their Glean program, and doing some building initiatives with Open Hand Ministries. It was very, very exciting for me to see people connecting what they were doing to give back and realizing that although they were receiving services from us, Citizen Care, they could also make change in the world. So that was one of the most exciting things for me early on. And it had a huge impact on me. Service has always been a part of my life and my job, but not wanting to necessarily do the same things outside of work as I was at work so that I didn't burn out. It really opened up a lot of avenues in my life, and I ended up sitting on the board for Allegheny Cleanways for several years. And I even met my wife on a work trip after Katrina in Mississippi that I learned about through some contacts at Citizen Care.
So it was meant to be.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say. This was all meant to be.
It's had a huge impact on my life. So there have been a lot of opportunities at Citizen Care for me to move on to different experiences, to think about moving to a different part of the company or look at different positions. But it's always been those close relationships to people like Jerry and some of the other folks in our programs and my management team and my staff that have kept me in Green Tree in my program. So
Now, you talk about every day being a little bit different. Can you maybe describe that for us, or what that entails, and maybe a day in the life of Mike?
Well, okay. Every day is a little bit different. I work in the Green Tree division. We support about 22 people in 2 different apartment complexes. A lot of the people in Green Tree are very independent, and so they don't need a lot of hands-on personal care, but they do need support in other areas to help them be as independent as possible. And so, it may be that people need more assistance with medication administration or with transportation, help with groceries, help with making meals, whatnot. and assistance with getting to doctor's appointments and maintaining their health. That being said, my day-to-day is in managing the staff and working with the managers that work for me and the nurse that works in our division and the program specialist that works in our division, and just help to make sure that things are running smoothly. But I usually start my day and end my day talking on the phone with some of the folks in the program. And like I said, that's one of the things that can be challenging at different points in time, because there tend to be a lot of phone calls, but it's the most rewarding part of my job, and it's what keeps me here at Citizen Care. Mm-hmm. So, just a lot of time on the phone, huh, Jerry?
Yes.
Well, it keeps you busy and out of trouble. That's the thing.
Let's hope so.
All right, Jerry, let's talk to you a little bit. How old were you when you first started living?
I was 18. I moved into Citizen Care in 1999. Mm-hmm. I was still in school. I was going to Pathfinder School. And the first agency I looked at was Citizen Care Partners for Quality, and I just loved how nice the apartments were.
Oh, okay.
I liked the community that it was in, and the apartments were just so clean. And back then, I just picked that group home because everything seemed good, and they had good programs. Like, they taught me how to cook and stuff, and I just loved this place.
Can they teach my husband how to cook, do you think? Do you think I could have him come and stay with you guys for a while and he could learn to cook? No? Can you teach him? No, that's wonderful. The fact that all of those things play right into, what makes your life so full, so wonderful. All of those things that you described, that's so important to your day-to-day life, right?
Yes, it is.
Now, you met you met Mike when? Tell us about when you two first met.
I met him in
It was 2002.
He's like, I know.
I met him in 2002. He was a manager at my site, and I remember him coming in, and he was doing this poster of
You got to tell us what the poster's like now, or what the poster
The poster was very nice. It was, what was it, Mike?
It was about respect.
It was about respect.
Okay.
And
he did a very good job at it, and I'm like, Mike, you're doing a very good job. And back then we had a lot of staff, and they were very nice, and they were really respected people. Mike likes respecting people too, and I really appreciate that.
I was going to say that's got to be a big important factor when you're, when you're staying there, and your day-to-day life. That's got to be huge.
I have a little bit to add on there too. I remember meeting Jerry my first week at Citizen Care. He had a ton of questions for me, and he was surprised that somebody so young was taking the position. I was 24 at the time, so that would have made you 22.
Yes.
But it was about we have a birthday that's a week apart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so we're less than 2 years apart though, in age. So he was about to be 23, I was about to be 25, and I'm less than 2 years older than him, but he always refers to me as an old man. Huh?
Jerry, is that nice?
No.
Well, at least you get that. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about the supports that you receive.
Well, I receive support in budgeting my money because I'm very bad at that. Sometimes I like to overspend. They also give me support in making my doctor's appointments and do my medications, and I appreciate that because I have a lot of medications, and it just gives me a lot of help with my doctor's appointments and everything, and they do a lot for me. Like, they do my medical records and stuff it would be hard for me to do.
Yeah, that's a big, big help. And I hear that you have no problem asking for when you need some help, which is important too.
Yes, it is.
So what else? Tell us maybe some other impressions that you have of the facility.
I just like the staff. My manager at Highland Hills is very awesome, and so is all the staff. And Mike is just the best director. I mean, he's very caring, and he deserves a pat on the back, and so does all the manager at Highland Hills, and so does all the staff. I mean, the manager goes above and beyond, and so does Mike.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's always so good to hear. Mike, did you have something else to add to that, or?
I mean, there's just Jerry's had the benefit of working with some staff who've been there for a very long time. We have staff who've been there for 10, 20, 25, even 30 years at that site. We have some of the staff with the most longevity in that program. When I first started working with Jerry, he was selling newspapers in downtown Pittsburgh. He had a job doing that, and he wasn't making a lot of money, and he would go to work most of the time. But I've been really impressed with just how he's found jobs that are more aligned with his skill sets, and how he's been taking his employment more seriously over the years. He, with staff assistants, he's becoming more responsible in regard to taking care of his home and attending medical appointments.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've been a tremendous, tremendous help. Now, Jerry, I hear you like to cook on your George Foreman grill. Is that true?
Yes, I do. I love cooking chicken a lot, and it is just so tasty.
Oh, did you bring any for us tonight?
No, I ate it.
Well, now, Jerry and Mike, maybe talk a little bit about, we sort of mentioned about some of the supports that have led to him living more independently. Maybe let's just delve into that a little bit more, because again, this is such a huge thing, because who doesn't want to live independently and to be able to do things for themselves? So maybe let's get into that a little bit more.
Well, I'm happy because it taught me how to be a better person, and it taught me how to keep a job, and I just love how independent I'm living now because of the help with citizen care. They showed me a lot how to cook, and they showed me good better ways of cleaning, and they showed me how to do laundry. Back when I was taking a bus, they bus trained me, and that was very important to me and that would have been harder doing all the buses, and I used to take buses a lot before I got a Jeep, and that made me more independent learning how to take buses, and the guy that taught me how to take buses, I really appreciate him, and then they got me a bus pass, and that's how I got to work before I got a vehicle.
Wow, so you have your own vehicle.
Yes, I do. I have a Jeep Patriot.
That
It's
is
2008.
awesome. That's pretty, and you love driving. Do you love cruising around? Do you?
Yes, I do.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Mike, maybe add a little bit to that as
Sure.
well, maybe some details.
As
of
I
some of that.
mentioned, seeing him get these jobs and excel in these jobs, and seeing him take more responsibility in the day-to-day, and how he conducts himself with people, I've seen, we grew up together in a way, Jerry and I.
That's very true when you think about
We were
it.
pretty young. I was pretty young when I started there, and he was pretty young. And, just seeing the level of responsibility increase with him over time. Because he's so independent, he's typically reaching out to staff less for physical assistance with things and more for encouragement. He's pretty rarely seen without a phone in his hand, and if he needs something, he knows how to reach out and find people if some people aren't available. So, but this can be challenging at different points in time because Jerry, you like to. You make a lot of phone calls sometimes, but we have a lot of staff who have worked with him for a very long time, are very patient. And some of the things that have impressed me the most about Jerry have happened over the last 2 years, and he kind of hinted about it, but I won't jump into that just yet.
Oh, okay, we got to save something for when we get back, right? Exactly, because I want to hear so much more about your story, and you look so happy. By the way, when I first met him, he had a phone in his hand. He did look up and say, "Oh, are you Shelley Duffy?" Yeah, so, I get what you're saying. But seriously, we are going to be back with so much more. You are not going to want to miss it, I promise. You are watching In Touch with Partners for Quality, and we're going to be right back after this break.
It's my job, but it's their life.
It's my job, but it's their life.
It's my job, it's my life. It's my job.
It's my life.
It's my life. I stick it to it.
It's my job and it's their life.
Welcome back to In Touch with Partners for Quality. I'm Shelley Duffy, and today we're talking with friends from Citizen Care. Mike Sturgis, he's a community living director, and Jerry, who is a person who receives support, and you both are just so much fun, and I'm having just a wonderful time getting to know you, Jerry, and learning all about everything that you both do. So it's really great to have you back. Now, Jerry, you've set some pretty big goals for yourself, is that right? And you've achieved many of those goals. Tell us about that journey.
Well, my big goal was get a Jeep and have a car, and I just love driving it. It made me more independent on getting to work, because I gotta be at work very early in the morning, like at 6 o'clock, and I always get up at 3 in the morning and I leave about 5, and I know a lot of the people that work in Citizen Care, they don't start work that early, and it's very hard for them to get people places that early. So it made my life easier getting to work and stuff. And my dad was a big advocate for me getting my own car. And he used to come see me a lot, and whenever he passed, it was hard on me.
Yeah, I can imagine. I absolutely know that feeling, as a matter of fact, very recently. So I do understand that. And you have a job you love, so tell us about that. And I was going to say, because buses don't run that early, right? So,
No, they don't.
But tell us about your job and why you love it and what you do and all of those good things.
I work at TJ Maxx, I clean, and my bosses are just so phenomenal. They are the best. I mean, I just got a good 90-day performance evaluation not too long ago.
Congratulations.
This job is so important to me. I mean, I love cleaning. I love the Christmas season, seeing a bunch of people shopping. And it just makes me so happy seeing the nice stuff I can buy in the store. And around Christmas, we get an extra 20% off on our discount.
I was going to ask if you got the discount, because to me, that would be like, that would be important if you get the discount.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's wonderful. So the season coming up is just, it's going to be wonderful for you then, with everybody, the hustle and bustle. So you like all of that time of year, is that
Yes,
right?
I do. Yes, I do. I actually have my apartment decorated for Christmas. I did it a couple days ago, and I listened to Christmas music during the day, and I just love watching Christmas movies in the evening, looking at my tree lit. That is just so relaxing. I mean, it's so cozy just to do that.
It just brings you
Especially when the
joy,
snow comes.
right?
Yes, it
Does
does.
it? Because that's how I feel too.
Yes.
I have to admit, yeah, I'm decorated before Thanksgiving, so don't anybody get mad at me. But I did the same thing. I love it though. There's just something about how everything just feels. It's a cozy, warm feeling. So
it is.
it's so good that you're able to experience those things
Yes, it
and
is.
able to have a job where you can do the same. So that is amazing. Now, you also have a girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
Is that true?
Yes, it is.
So what are some things that you like doing with her?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we went to gymnastics, and I loved it. And I like going out to eat with her to Olive Garden. We have a lot of fun when we're together, and she's just very special to me. And I've been with her like 12 years or more, and I love her so much. I'd do anything for her.
That's so
I
wonderful.
love spoiling her, and I'd give her the world.
Oh, I'm going to cry. Well, I love that. Well, you'll get to spend wonderful holiday time with her, I'm sure, as well, and enjoy those lights and all of that as well. Now, Mike, wanted to talk to you a little bit about Jerry's readiness for a lot of things, including his car.
Sure.
So let's talk about that and, what qualifies him to be ready, I guess, and, how do you
Sure.
gauge that for all the wonderful people that you serve?
Well, Jerry moved to Citizen Care 5 days after his 18th birthday. So that's about 24 years ago. And upon moving in, he wanted the same things anybody that age would be. He wanted his own apartment, he wanted a girlfriend, he wanted a good paying job, and he wanted to drive his own car. So 9 years after that, in 2006, he actually had a car. Earlier on, his dad helped him to buy a vehicle. I think your dad actually bought that vehicle for you, correct? Or he
Yes.
helped you with it?
He bought it.
He bought it. And he was able to pass his driver's license back then, which was great. It was around you were about 27 at the time, right?
I think, yeah.
Yeah. So, and he had a really nice job that he liked, but over time, the vehicle had a lot of repairs. He had trouble paying for the repairs, and he ended up not sticking with that job. And so it didn't keep the car on the road, and it was a personal goal for him for about 14 years after that to get back on the road and to have a vehicle again. And in June 2020, Jerry had been able to finally save enough funds, because he was using some of his funds for other things prior to that, to start thinking about getting a vehicle. And his dad and he had talked about maybe it was time to get another vehicle. And at the time, I was very, very, very impressed with his determination to start driving again, and especially in the middle of a pandemic. And so I was even more impressed by our management team and the executive staff at Citizen Care, who kind of got behind it to support him in this, because it's just great to see everybody saying, yeah, let's make this happen. So we got him just to see where he was, where his skills were. He took a drive-able assessment, and he did really well on it. And then we all agreed as a team that he would have some one-on-one driving instruction. And we said 10 hours. And after the first driving instruction session, they called me, and I was just getting ready to go on vacation. They said, I don't think he's going to need these whole 10 hours. He's doing great. And I was really, really glad to hear that. At that time, he was working at a different job, and because of the pandemic, the people weren't working in the office. It was a financial office, and so he wasn't getting the hours that he wanted. But having that car and having that boost of confidence from having that vehicle, and also knowing that he needed to pay for things like insurance and fuel.
Oh, yeah, you got to pay for it. Yeah, that's right.
he hit the pavement, and he found himself a new job working at some condominiums in August 2020, and it was just so great seeing him just so excited about this vehicle, about this new job that he had, and it was just really encouraging. And it been a long time since I'd seen him that happy and glowing that much. So it was great. But at that point in time, he's not with that job at this point. He's got it. Obviously, he's working at TJ Maxx. But so it'd never be late. He started the habit of driving to work early, and having a cup of coffee, and calling his girlfriend and his father, sometimes very early before starting his shift.
Now, speaking of your dad, again, I know how hard it is when you lose someone you love, and he was such a big advocate for you and, was there for you. You called him, as Mike just mentioned. Do you kind of rely on Mike that way now, being able to call him whenever you need to tell him things or whenever you want to reach out? In a similar way, obviously there's no replacing your dad, but do you feel that bond with Mike as well?
Yes, I do. I feel a very close bond with Mike. I call him sometimes earlier than 6:00 a.m. and I bet he hates that.
No, I don't. It's fine.
But I call him at like sometimes 5. One time I called him at like 4. And Mike, I'm very close to him, and I have a very close bond with him. I also call my mom and my aunt Mary Lou a lot. And my aunt's a nice lady, and she talks to me a lot. And my mom talks to me a lot too, and she's very good. And I have a close relationship with all of them. But Mike is just phenomenal at his job, and so
And answering the phone, apparently, too,
and answering
right?
the phone, yes. And so is the manager at Highland Hills. She is just phenomenal too. I mean, she goes above and beyond.
You are such a positive person. Mike, maybe talk a little bit about his positivity. That has to be contagious,
Yeah.
when someone's happy and when someone appreciates things.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that about you, Jerry.
Sure. So, just to sort of backtrack a little bit, Jerry got some bad news in October of 2020. He'd been driving for 3 months, and he found out that his dad was very sick, and it was really tough. And he would call his dad every day at 6 p.m. And he eventually lost his father in March of 2021. And I was very, very impressed with how well he dealt with the passing of his father. And it struck me at that point in time, Jerry, him getting the vehicle, I feel like it really paved the way for him to be more successful for employment. Not just because he could get there to his job whenever he needed to, but also that confidence and that self-determination. It just kind of built upon it. And I think in some way, him having that vehicle and then getting a job that he loved made it easier for him to deal with that huge loss. And what also struck me at the time is I was very close with Jerry's father, and being a father myself, what also struck me is just, his dad always just wanted the best for him. Any parent wants what's best for their kids, and he wanted him to be successful. And knowing that he was able to see Jerry being so successful and having all these things kind of come together before he passed, that really hit me in a big way. And like I said, Jerry used to talk to his dad every day at 6 o'clock, and he said that that after his father passed, like the week after, he said, the hardest thing is going to be not being able to talk to my dad every day at 6 o'clock p.m. And I said, well, 6 p.m.'s pretty tough time for me, Jerry, because sometimes I'm still at work, sometimes I'm driving home, I have an 8-year-old, and I have some obligations. But I said 6 a.m. though, 6 a.m. will work. And I've tried to stick to that as much as possible. And it has gotten a little bit earlier. But he's been taking it a little bit easier on me with not calling me as early. But he does call me quite a bit. And I'm happy to be there for you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Well, we have just a couple of minutes left. I do want to ask you, what other goals do you have, Jerry? What would you still like to accomplish?
I want to get married to my fiance and buy a big house in the country. I love a lot of acres. And I want to get a couple of dogs like German Shepherds. And I love German Shepherds, good protection.
They're wonderful.
And I just want a
dogs.
house in the country with a lot of land.
How would you describe Mike to other people?
Very generous, very outgoing, and he does a lot for me, and I really appreciate it. He's actually like a third father figure because I have a stepdad, and Mike, I respect him a lot, and I know he respects me, and I really appreciate that.
The bond is just amazing
Yes,
to
it
see
is.
between the two of you. And Mike, again, we don't have much time left, but do you see these types of stories like Jerry's?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great working at Citizen Care. Like I mentioned a few things earlier. There are a lot of other people who have met a lot of great goals, like whether it's going on vacation to someplace they want to go to, like Las Vegas, or going on a cruise that they've saved up for. There was a man who used to live with Jerry who wanted to be a DJ in the community, and he started doing DJing for Citizen Care events, and then started branching out into the community. People who've worked at Giant Eagle for 25 years, at the Olive Garden for 25 years. There's a woman who works at a cafe for 20 years. People who've had health goals with losing weight or whatnot. It's been really exciting. As I mentioned, the most exciting thing for me has been the seeing people like Jerry have those connections with their family, and
Well, like I said, you can see the bond. It is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Thank you both so much for joining
Sure.
us today. We appreciate it so very much. And that is all the time that we have for today's program. My thanks to Mike and Jerry. It has been great sharing this good news stories. To learn more about Citizen Care and the other Partners for Quality agencies, visit pfq.org and look for Partners for Quality on Facebook. I'm Shelley Duffy. Thanks so much for joining us today.